Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of my F1 23 MyTeam series. If you did miss the last episode around Austria, it was another sprint race weekend and Verstappen got the win, and unfortunately Leclerc was on for a pretty easy win in the end, but unfortunately got the puncture. And in the sprint race we actually had a red flag, which was caused by Magnussen and Nick DeVries having a crash at the pit entry, which was a bit unusual. And now if we have a look at the performance just quickly, the top three, it's very spicy. It is spicy. The top three are separated by extremely small margins, and ourselves are still currently down at the bottom. And now having a look at the Grand Prix. The Grand Prix is going to be mixed conditions. Qualifying is going to be dry. So I reckon the overall consensus will be that you go for a dry setup to try and boost yourself in the qualifying session, and also during what is meant to be wet. You might be a bit more slower, but when it does start to dry up, you should be able to go much faster than before. So I reckon that's going to be the way to go. We're going to use a dry setup for this, and now heading straight into our race strategy program. It's going to be lap 3 that we get it done. So the first 3 laps we get it purple, so that's all we have to do. And now going into the next program, you can see there, it's all purple except for one. So we have pretty much nailed this circuit. We've got all the braking points, we've got corner exit, we've got all the apexes absolutely nailed around here, so we should be pretty good when it comes to the race. And now looking at the average tyre wear, our first lap was pretty dismal. That was a pretty shocking lap, but our next one wasn't too much, well, it was much better, but it wasn't too far away from being in the purple. And now as we take a look, it's just inside the purple on our final lap. It is just inside. It's still purple, but we get green. I was pretty disappointed with that. I felt like I'd been stitched up there. A lot of soft tyre running actually was done in this session. We did not do it, so I don't think P17s are going to be our genuine pace as we now head straight into qualifying. This is our first flying lap here in qualifying, and we're about to go through Stowe Corner. This corner's been quite tricky for us. We haven't had the exit speed that we need, and we have a big tank slapper. We save it one, we save it the other, but we don't do the final save, a part of it, so we've spun in front of the pit lane. And Pierre Gasly, I reckon, is going to be trying to come into the pit lane. He's hit the front of our car here, and we actually get a 5 grid place penalty for that, so I think that's a bit unfair. We had a moment, and Gasly had every way to avoid us, but decided to drive into us, so a bit annoying. And now that's set us back because we had to repair the car. Now coming back through Stowe Corner, we run very wide, but FIA didn't give us a track limits warning for it, so we must have been okay in their books, or they just didn't see it. And then once again running wide, but this time we actually lost time as we fell off the edge of the tarmac, and that lap was nowhere near good enough for us to get into Q2. We're currently sitting P20 as we now head into the final chicane club corner, and now heading onto the Hamilton straight. And what's our lap going to be? It is P7, which is, to be honest, a lot better than I thought that was going to get out of this session. So we'll move on to the next part of qualifying, which is always an added bonus. So let's get into the results. It's Hamilton from Russell. So Mercedes 1-2 at the moment. Mercedes are looking very strong around Silverstone, their home race. So I'm sure the fans would be very pleased about that. And now it's starting to look quite overcast, so I was trying to get to my engineer to ask him about the weather and accidentally hit the fuel. But there, he's just said there's going to be rain in about 10 minutes, so this could really change quality. I wasn't prepped for a wet qualifying. The radar said it was going to be dry, so put on a dry setup for a dry, mixed conditions race as well. So maybe a wet setup may be the way to go in the end, but we're going to come onto the end of our first flying lap onto the Hamilton straight, and it's going to be P4 at the moment, which isn't too bad. We're ahead of the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, and we do get into Q3, so that was our only flying lap we ended up doing. So P8 at the moment, Oscar Piastri P11 once again. The P11 curse comes in for Oscar Piastri. That's probably his favourite position so far this season. And now into Q3, it's wet. So I've gone out on a set of scrub tyres because I wanted to save my good set of tyres for later in the session. Should have gone out on the fresh ones to start with, because now we've had to go into the pits and come back out onto another set of softs. These are the fresh softs, but the track's already too wet and we haven't set a lap time. So we're going to be struggling here to try and set any sort of lap. So I don't think we're going to improve any further than P10, but it is Bottas in the Alfa Romeo, so we might get Bottas. No, we don't even get Bottas. We're 1.5 seconds down on Fernando Alonso, so we were well and truly out of sync. Should have gone out straight away onto the fresh set of soft tyres to try and maximise our grip there into the wet. And so it's Max Verstappen who gets pole ahead of George Russell. So in the end, Mercedes got pipped by the Red Bulls.
You join us in the United Kingdom today, or Great Britain as it's alternatively known. Well, it's certainly a great day today as we welcome you to one of the crown jewels of British sports, a track of speed, history and drama. It's Silverstone. It's the British Grand Prix. Silverstone circuit then is 3.6 miles long, has a total of 18 corners, and of course is no stranger to the rain. There won't be any DRS available in these conditions, but the Wellington and Hangar straights are still good opportunities to tuck into the slipstream and make a pass. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and starting next to them is George Russell. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Hamilton, Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Norris, Perez, Bottas, Oscar Piastri, Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Tsunoda, Stroll, the Rainmaster, Gasly, Joe, Albon, Ocon, Sargent, Iwasa and Nick de Vries. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? Joining us today to oversee all the thrills and spills, it's Anthony Davidson. And great to see you. How are you feeling about the race today, and how are the circuit conditions from what you've seen?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
And here we are on the grid now. It is very wet. It is extremely wet. It's definitely full wet conditions, so hopefully we can make something work out of this Grand Prix. We are running a dry setup, so unfortunately we're going to probably be quite a bit slow on this opening stint of the Grand Prix, but we should be able to make something special happen when it gets to the dry section of the race. And as we now wait to have a look at our race strategy, I reckon if it does stay wet, we're going to only do a one stop and just go into another set of wets. But we don't know when it's going to become dry again, so it's always going to be a guessing game of when the crossover point is in this race, and there it's already selected as a one stop from wet to wet, but that don't think it should be that. It should be wet to dries. So hopefully we can pull off a strategy where we can go from full wet straight to dries rather than doing a wet intermediate then dry tyre. I reckon we could probably jump up a few positions trying that as we go straight away onto our formation lap. Stroll is actually really slow to get away, so we actually passed him on the formation lap, so we have to give that one back. Now heading into our pit box, we're going to try and not fail it this time, but we fail it. I need to really improve on that. That's pretty dismal. But anyways, as we now head onto 5 red lights, we're away for the British Grand Prix. It's an alright race start for us. We do get by Stroll as he has had a pretty dismal race start, and we actually get a much better run. So we put it on the grass to go around the outside of a few cars down at Abbey. So it turns out to be a pretty okay initial start, and then a much better second stage of the start as we now set it up the inside of Piastri. But I didn't realise there was also Kevin Magnussen on the outside of Piastri, so ended up being 3 wide going into villages. So we ended up picking up a little bit of side pod damage, which is not ideal on lap 1. But now, as we head down the Wellington Straight, we have a look towards the front. Carlos Sainz is currently holding up Fernando Alonso, and he's dropped back a little bit from Russell, the homeboy hero. So it's currently a Mercedes 3-4, and I'm sure there'll be a pretty good battle between Hamilton and Russell to try and see who ends up getting onto the podium. As we now just have a quick look at this top 10. It's Verstappen, Leclerc, Hamilton, Russell, Sainz, Alonso, Perez, Norris, Bottas, and ourselves onto this second lap. And riding aboard here with Sergio Perez, he's going to get by Fernando Alonso. So Alonso's got no pace at all in this wet weather as he just glides it around the outside that Red Bull, proving how good it really is. As we now take a look here at Oscar Piastri, so he's got quite the train behind him. There's a train from about P11 here all the way down to last place. So Oscar Piastri is definitely struggling here, but it's actually myself who's holding everyone up here. So our pace here, remember, dry setup in the wet conditions, we're really struggling. So we've gone very defensive on Oscar Piastri, but he's going to have a look around the outside of us, but doesn't quite get it done. As we have core, that was a very scary moment, trying to defend from our fellow Patriots. So now heading through this final chicane. Our main goal is just try and get the power down nice and easy to try and protect ourselves into Abbey. And we actually use quite a bit of curb, so that's unsettled the car just that tiny little bit. And now fast forwarding a bit, we still got Hulkenberg now actually behind us. So Hulkenberg's be able to get by Oscar Piastri, but we've still got that massive train behind us. And we've actually looped it going onto the Wellington Straight. So now that massive train of cars is going to go back by us, and we are going to be plumb last. So definitely not where we want to be, because we're already struggling. So we just had to try and maintain positions as we now do an order check actually. So it's Verstappen, Leclerc and Hamilton on the podium at the moment, 5 laps into the race. So still a long way to go. Anything can happen. George Russell, Sainz, Perez, Alonso, Lando Norris, another British driver inside the top 10. Valtteri Bottas has got the Alfa Romeo into the top 10 on numerous occasions so far this season. So he's doing very well getting that car in spots where it really shouldn't be. Piastri is inside the top 10. And then it's Magnussen, Stroll, Tsunoda, Gasly, Zhou, the 2 Williams of Albon and Sargent, then Ocon, Iwasa, De Vries, then ourselves. And we've actually not in last anymore because Nico Hulkenberg jumped inside the pits and he's gone onto the intermediate tyres. So it does make me wonder if the track's now starting to dry up just that little bit more for the intermediates to come into play, as the timing screen goes nuts at the moment as more and more drivers are now pulling into the pits to try and get those intermediate tyres on as soon as possible. And this here just showing how many cars are diving into the pits for these intermediate tyres, including the likes of Hamilton and Perez, who are right at the front. So the intermediate stuff must definitely be the way to go at the moment, as Gasly now is trying to make a move on Yuki Tsunoda to get himself up inside the points at the moment, and it makes it a pretty easy move around the outside as Tsunoda doesn't have the grip on the inside of the corner. And now back to our POV. It's currently lap 6, and I just kind of want to point out the gap at the moment. It's 7.2 seconds back from Nico Hulkenberg. By the end of the lap, it's 3.4. The intermediates definitely the way to go, but I really do think we've now missed our window of opportunity to try and make the intermediates work. So my strategy to try and go from the wet straight to the dry tyre has definitely not been playing off at the moment, as that gap to Bottas is absolutely tumbling. So everything at the moment is going to crap at the moment. That's all I can say. We've royally screwed this one up. We had a pretty good starting position, didn't end up. We got a really good start as well, remember, and then we'll holding on to a pretty good points paying position, or just outside the points paying position. And now within a couple of corners, Bottas has gone from 1.5 seconds back to now getting by us, and it won't be too long before Nico Hulkenberg gets back by us as well. And as much as Mark is trying to tell me to stay with Bottas, we've got no pace as we just understeer all the way off the track at Cops, and Hulkenberg just drives past us as if we weren't even there. So I reckon we're going to have to bite the bullet eventually and come out onto the intermediates. We've really screwed this one up, as now Hamilton is getting by Max Verstappen, and this will be an interesting battle to watch, as these guys will now be trying to pass everyone who's on the wet tyres still, as he now sends it up the inside of Pierre Gasly. We're probably trying to make the move here, and Kevin Magnussen, who's also on the wet tyres. So this will show the pace difference between the inters and the wets, and we're going to have more than one car here to do the reference, as because Max Verstappen is going to be trying to follow Hamilton through all these cars, as well as Hamilton will be going around the outside at Brooklands to get by Kevin Magnussen. And Max Verstappen has also made the move on Pierre Gasly as well. Will be trying to make quick progress of Kevin Magnussen, as he does only a few corners later, going through Beckett's corner and then onto Chapel Curve. And now Hamilton, he's already making a move on Stroll. Stroll was already 2 seconds up the road from when he passed Kevin Magnussen. So that's just proving how quick this car is in these conditions, and how much of a grip difference there is between the wets and the intermediates, as another driver on the intermediate tyres does try to go back past, and that is Esteban Ocon going through, as we get completely sideways. We try to put the power down to try and maintain our side-by-side position with him, and just lost the rear and had to really back out the throttle to try and keep it from spinning. As here you can see, we have just got no turning grip whatsoever, and we actually do go for a spin, and we nearly wipe out a Wassa with us. So this race is just falling apart for us as Sonoda also goes by us. So these are cars that we were ahead before we had our initial spin going onto the Wellington Straight, that we did have the pace on. They were just in the train. So these guys have made a pit stop and then also made all that time back up on us. So now we're also under attack from Oscar Piastri, who's only just coming outside the pits, and he's going to have Logan Sargent with him as well. So Sargent will probably get by us too, as well, as we had a mid-corner loss of grip, and so Piastri goes back by us, and now Sargent will go around the outside of us through Luffield. So this car, these conditions, no grip whatsoever. So as we do another spin, so this is now at Woodcote. So we've, yeah, definitely messed it up. We should have boxed for the Inters. Probably tried to go a bit early as well, as now there's a bit of a battle between Perez and Sainz. These two guys are also on the intermediate tyres, and Magnussen's still out there on the wets. So Perez makes the move up the inside at Copse Corner. He does that very successfully, and then Sainz is now going to be trying to get through. He's going to have a look through Maggots. He can't get it done through Maggots. So now he's going to be looking through for Beckett's, but he's not going to be able to get it done through there. So he's going to have to be done down the Hangar Straight. And just look at how close he is up on the back of Kevin Magnussen, and look at the gap that Perez has already managed to get by. It's 1.5 seconds, so that's how much time you can lose through just that section of track if you're not on the correct tyres at the moment in these conditions. As it's now back to our POV, we're pulling out the white flag, we're coming into the pits. So we get it all nice and slow down, and then coincidentally at the same time the VSC comes out. So this is actually perfect timing for us, because now we're not going to be losing as much time to the rest of the field. We're still going to be coming out like nearly I would almost imagine a whole minute behind. But thanks to Valtteri Bottas and his terrible luck so far this season, he gets the car into a really good position, and then the car just dies on him as again. And this is another engine failure for the Alfa Romeo team. So now back to our pit stop. It's a pretty good stop. It's a bit faster than what the team suspected it's going to be. So a good stop in that case, but it doesn't matter if we had a slow one or not. We're going to be last, and we're going to be very far behind, as we now, under this VSC, have a look at the order. So it's Leclerc, Russell, and then Alonso on the podium. So Alonso's found himself on the podium, but I don't think he's yet pit for the intermediate tyres. Then it's Norris, Hamilton, Verstappen, Stroll, Perez, Sainz, and Magnussen inside the top 10. So it's a pretty jumbled up top 10, but that's also filled with people who haven't yet stopped to get onto the intermediate tyre. And if we do have a look further down the screen, outside of the top 10, you've got Gasly, Zhou, Albon, Hulkenberg, De Vries, Ocon. Then our teammate in Wasser's doing all right down in P17. I'd really hope that in these conditions he can try and make a few moves up and take advantage of these mixed conditions. Sonoda, Piastri, Sargent, and ourselves in P21. We've only just passed the point where Bottas DNF'd, so we've now finally moved up to P21 instead of being P22. So now the green flag should be coming out fairly soon to end this VSC, as the car has now been cleared away. And back to our POV, we have got 44.5 seconds to Logan Sargent in the Williams. So that is a lot of work to get done, as we now take a look inside the top 10. This is a battle for P8, and that's Carlos Sainz going up the inside of Sergio Perez, but he's going to run wide, and Perez gets back by him. So Carlos Sainz made a very successful move, and I'm guessing he had a small wobble on the exit of Farm Curve, and so that unsettled the car enough for Perez to get back by up the inside. So immediately as this green flag drops, everyone is battling, and now Carlos Sainz, I reckon he's going to have a run here on Sergio Perez. Perez is stuck up behind Stroll, so Sainz has got an opportunity here to try and get by both of them, and he does. That's a very opportunistic move from Carlos Sainz, kind of making up for the mistake that he made just half a lap before, not even half a lap. So now we're going to have a try and see here if Perez can get by Stroll, but he's still stuck behind the Canadian driver. So he's going to be kicking himself that he can't get by Stroll at the moment, and he's going to try and look up the inside of Copse, can't get it done. So he's going to be trying to get the exit speed here and try and get it done before they even get to Maggots. He pulls up alongside, and will it be around the outside at Maggots? Yes, and so he gets it done just before they make it to Beckett's in the end, and so now that means he's going to be free to go, but he's already lost. Look at that, 2.5 seconds to Carlos Sainz just by being stuck behind Stroll for that long. So this is another prime example of these intermediate tyres definitely being the superior tyre to be on at the moment, as now is briefly 3 wide, about to go into Stowe Corner between the two Hasses and the Alpine of Pierre Gasly, as we now ride on board with Lewis Hamilton. He's making a move on one of the Ferraris. That must be Charles Leclerc. He's still on the wet tyres, and it is Charles Leclerc. So this happened while we were having a look at some other replays, and it turns out Charles Leclerc has been a victim of another Ferrari strategy, unfortunately. So Charles Leclerc has pretty much also ridden off this race by still being on those wet weather tyres, and now Max Verstappen is tucked up behind Charles Leclerc, and he'll be trying to get the move done down the Chapel Straight and make the move, hopefully even before Stoke Corner, because the straight line of that Red Bull should be far superior. And now he pulls up down halfway down the straight, and he's probably going to get this done around the outside at Stowe. So a pretty easy move in the end for Max Verstappen, and Charles Leclerc is now tumbling down this timing, as now a few more cars have come into the pits. Alex Albon's made his first pit stop as we now take a look here at Kevin Magnussen. I reckon he's only just come outside the pits, so he's going to be on some pretty cold intermediate tyres, and he's going for a spin. He's going for a spin on the exit of the corner, and Zhou's hit him, and Albon have both hit him, so it's a 3-car pile-up here on the exit of the loop, and that's actually going to bring out the red flag. And I reckon Magnussen's actually still alright in the end, but in the end it's still good enough to bring out the red flag. So this actually changes the race, and looking here at the strategy, dry tyres are being recommended by Mark. So the red flag lasted long enough that this track should be dry. Part of me really wants to try and see if we can't go into the intermediates, because it might just still be wet enough for the intermediates to try and get a really good race start. But I'm going to trust Mark here and start on the intermediates. And looking at the track, it is bone dry. It is definitely time for the dry tyres. And there are cars still on the track here with intermediate tyres. Nick De Vries, one of the cars with intermediate tyres on, and we make an absolute ripper start. De Vries also makes an alright start considering he's on the intermediates, and it's Hamilton who leads the British Grand Prix after this red flag ahead of Sainz, and we make another dive bomb now going into Village. So these medium tyres are definitely probably the way to be. Well, it's no choice about it. Dry tyres is the way to go. Everyone who's on intermediates is going to be having a horrific time at the moment. And just look at how jumbled up this is. This is George Russell trying to defend now from the field, as he's also on the intermediate tyres. So Mercedes have made a mistake here with George Russell. So Russell's going to go tumbling. So one of the fan favourites is potentially out of this race now with only 10 laps to go, and he's going to have to make a pit stop here. So I think he's going to lose too much time for him to be fast enough to catch back and make all these passes within 10 laps, as he continues to hold up the likes of Charles Leclerc. So Ferrari have fixed up their mistake. So that red flag has actually helped out Ferrari a little bit and put Charles Leclerc a little bit up the field, because he would have lost a lot of time if he came into the pits to fit the intermediate tyres when he did. And we're trying to make up so many moves, but we get onto the throttle a bit too eagerly, and we even let our teammate through. So Iwasa is up into P11, as a heap of cars are going to have to come into the pits. So this could potentially be a double points finish for Brabham. All we need is to just defend like hell. So we're currently inside the points. We got Iwasa in front of us, so let's try and catch up to Iwasa and see if we can't make it further up the field. But we've got a very fast Fernando Alonso behind us, so we might have to start defending first before we can start attacking, which means that the aim of this is now going to be protect Iwasa, try and get Iwasa some points in this championship, see if we can't boost him further up the field. So we're going to have to defend like an absolute lion to try and halt the progress of Fernando Alonso. As now we look at Oscar Piastri, he's having a mood made on by that's Ocon, and so Ocon is looking really pacey in this Alpine. So Alpine probably having quite a grin seeing their cars trying to get by Oscar Piastri after the whole contract saga. So Ocon is definitely much faster than Oscar Piastri at the moment, as Charles Leclerc is making a move up on Nico Hülkenberg as well. And Carlos Sainz now is looking to get the lead of the race off Lewis Hamilton. So this is a lead change here. Carlos Sainz now leads the British Grand Prix, and remember, he won the race here in real life last year. So Carlos Sainz is looking to go back to back at the British Grand Prix. Now back to our POV. We're Iwasa's touched out. He's gone. But now we've let Fernando Alonso get back by us, and he's going to have DRS. So now we're just trying to get the side draft off him, and we're going to try and send it up the inside. A little bit of side-to-side contact. We have to make a massive save mid-corner to try and not loop it, but Fernando Alonso does end up getting back by us. So we're going to try and stick with Fernando and see if we can't make a move to try and get ourselves back inside the points. But crucially, keep Fernando behind us so then he doesn't try and catch up to Iwasa and ruin Iwasa's hopes of trying to get some points here at the British Grand Prix. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's Logan Sargent directly behind us, and he's going to be trying to get back by us as well, as we have a massive moment. So these medium tyres, definitely not the way to go at the moment. I reckon we could have tried to make the soft tyres extend, or safe bet, the hard tyres work really well with our car, so maybe the hard tyres should have been the way to go. And moving on a little bit further along, we're now under attack by Lando Norris. Sargent has checked out. We left a tiny little gap there on the inside at Stoke corner, and Norris has gone, thank you, and he has let himself through. So a bit of a bargy move there by the McLaren, but I've let myself have a few bargy moves. So now, a few laps later, Alonso is going to make a pretty easy move here on Iwasa. So Iwasa is now down to the P10, but he has got 4 laps, and there's 3 seconds to Lando Norris. So Lando Norris is going to have to gain nearly a second a lap to try and gain to Iwasa to steal those points. As now Carlos Sainz makes a move back by Hamilton. So during all of that, we actually missed the part where Lewis Hamilton got back by Carlos Sainz to take the lead of the race. As now we lose a position to Yuki Tsunoda. So we are now plummeting through this field. I reckon we've used up a bit of our tyres off the start to try and make ourselves back up into the points. And then also that little moment we had going down the hanger straight also did not help our tyre wear situation, locking it up there. And unfortunately, with only 2 laps to go, it is Lando Norris who gets by our teammate. So our teammate has now lost that final point paying position. But we're not done yet. We want to get back by Yuki Tsunoda, so we make an audacious dive bomb down at Stoke corner at the end of the DRS straight to get by Yuki Tsunoda. It's not for points, it's just for bragging rights. So we're going to battle it out hard to the end here as we go on to start the final lap. And we actually have quite a moment which nearly lets Yuki Tsunoda get back by. And now this is the final lap of the race. Carlos Sainz makes a move on the inside at Copse corner to try and get the lead of the race. They're going to go side by side through Maggot's corner and then heading towards Beckett's as well. They're still side by side, but Carlos Sainz just gets ahead, and them going through their side by side has brought in Max Verstappen. So Verstappen's very well could get a position here right at the cusp of the race, as he's also got DRS thanks to Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton is now looking for a move on the inside of Carlos Sainz. They're going side by side through Stowe. Hamilton, he gets ahead of Carlos Sainz, but Sainz has got the better run on the exit of the corner, so Sainz maintains the lead for now. Can Hamilton make anything of it towards the end of this lap? I don't think so. I think Carlos Sainz is going to hold on here, and Carlos Sainz goes back-to-back at the British Grand Prix in real life and in the game. And so now back to our POV. Carlos Sainz has got the win, and it'll be about the pop-up on the screen, but Yuki Tsunoda, he's very slow through here. We're going to be trying to make a similar move to what Hamilton tried doing, and so we've made the move through Maggotts and Beckett's. And now Carlos Sainz, there it is, confirmed on the screen. Carlos Sainz is the winner of this Grand Prix, but we actually passed Yuki Tsunoda before the DRS detection point. So now DRS is going to help Tsunoda get back by us, but we're going to send it up the inside once again, really send it very deep, and Tsunoda's going to get a cut back on us. But we've now got the inside line, so now we're going to throw it down the inside once more. We're going into the final chicane through Club Corner. We're going to go, and we're going to hopefully just maintain this P13. Not for any points, but for the bragging rights, and we cross the line in P13.
Pulling their Ferrari into Parc Ferme after a fantastic race. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
Wow, what a race. In the end, we didn't get the points that we were so close to. We were so close to getting those double points finished with Iwasa finishing ahead of us, actually. In the end, we were never able to catch up. Our tyre wear just ended up dropping off like an absolute cliff. Congrats to Carlos for getting another win in the end. It was a wicked battle between these three right at the end. So, yeah, a very good race to watch if you're a fan of the race. And so now as we look at the race classifications, in the end, we know what the podium was. Perez, Leclerc, Hulkenberg, Piastri, Ocon, Alonso, and Norris finish off the points. Iwasa ended up being just under 3 seconds away from Lando Norris. So Lando Norris ended up just had heaps of pace at the end of the race. Logan Sargent actually was the one to separate myself and Iwasa. As we now look at the driver's standings, we find ourselves P8 at the moment. We're currently 8 points behind Fernando Alonso in the championship and crucially still ahead of Lando Norris. And now if we take a look at the constructors standings, we're currently P6 at the moment. We're currently tied with McLaren and 1 point behind Alpine. So this is a very big battle for the 5th in the constructors standings as we head back to the HQ. And we've got a few things. So we've got the durability department. We've got a event to attend, but this is actually more about an issue we had previously, and it's ended up with a morale drop, which is not very good to see. And then for the activities, we've gone for some weight training, aero team building, durability upgrade, a sponsor event, and also a PR filming for the vehicle to try and use up that free time and also get as many things done as we can. We do a powertrain upgrade as well, a fuel technology upgrade to try and boost the engine's performance. And then in the chassis department, we're going to upgrade the time to try and see how much quicker we can get things upgraded, because we desperately need those upgrades. We're still last in the development race for the season. And we're also going to find ourselves here getting lots of things done as we advance all this time heading towards a season break, because there's quite a gap between the Dutch Grand Prix and this race. So we're going to hit select on this season break, and actually we've got some news from Red Bull. Red Bull have given us some more engine goodies. So this is going to really hopefully boost ourselves when we get to the Dutch Grand Prix, and see if we can't get ourselves near Max Verstappen. That'll be pretty cool to be battling Max Verstappen at his home race. So yeah, as we've got a season break, but don't worry, this doesn't stop the progress of the episodes. It's only a season break in the game. So if you did enjoy this episode, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you at the next race, which is the Dutch Grand Prix.